Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to 10 Figure Business Mastery Live Webinar Wednesdays. We're going to get right into it. All right. So, like I said, this is 10 Figure Business Mastery Wednesday, June 28th. This year is almost halfway gone. 2 more days left in the month. Wow. Going by really, really fast. All right. So, if you didn't know, this is me, Cheston Bolgen with By the Books Consulting, and I'm the senior consultant here and founder CFO. You can reach us at 888-4BTB now. That's 888-428-2669. Or you can reach out to us at bythebooksconsultants.com. Or it's not up here, but you can also reach us at youraccountingsuperhero.com. That's also a way you can get to us. And this is my email address. And we are here to talk about how to level up in your business. You're a small business owner. We're going to be talking to you specifically. If you're a small business owner, you're not yet where you want to be inside of your business, but you really want to get somewhere. Okay, you might have a feeling of being stuck. You're in the process of really building this thing out. You want the proper systems in place, and you want to make sure that when you're moving your business forward, you're doing it in the right way. Okay, and you may not have been able to understand what that looks like for you. You're tired of being stuck. All right, where you are. So we're going to be speaking specifically to you today inside of what our discussion is, and one of the main things that gets in the way is clarity and structure in your business and how you operate it. Kind of leaves you hanging out there, okay? When you don't have things done in a way that makes sense. The right way is what we want to say, quote unquote, the right way. All right, so we're going to talk about some ways to do it the right way when it comes to managing your business finances today, okay? All right, so with that being said, quick disclaimer before we get started. The following is for educational purposes only and is not to be considered financial, accounting, or legal advice. Please consult your tax, accounting, and or legal professional for specific advice. All right, so before we get into it as well, want to make sure you have access to questions. Like you want to actually bring some topic rather. You want to bring a topic to this conversation. Maybe you have something that you really want to know about how to set your business up structurally. Like how do you set yourself up to win? Like what's the best type of entity? Right? Whether it's going to be an LLC, it's going to be a corporation, it's going to be a sole proprietorship, partnership, whatever that's going to look like. Maybe you're kind of thinking about what's the best approach to make sure I'm set up to win. Right? There's so many things to think about that. Well, if you're growing wealth inside of your business, well, how do you do that in the way where you get to keep it and protect it? Those things we can bring to the conversation as well. Things that you never thought about doing before, and you've heard things maybe in passing about how to save money in taxes, like maybe paying your kids and how you do that. How do you actually apply that in real life? How do you pay yourself? How do you pay your people? Things like what we're talking about today, organizing your finances. What does that really look like? And what are the implications of it? But whatever the conversation or the topic rather that you want to bring to this conversation, you can do so by these means. All right, you can reach out to me via email or IG at Your Accounting Superhero, or on LinkedIn at Your Accounting Superhero. All right. Okay, so the foundation of this, these are the tenets that we stand on. All right. Number one is intentionality, which is what we call mindset mastery. Won't get anywhere in life without having mastery in this area. Like you really want to control where you place your attention and focus. Two is financial mastery. All right. So we're going to be having that conversation today. We're in that lane today. Three is structures, which is what we call system mastery. This is a leverage point. You can do a lot more with a lot less when you have a great system in place, right? It's called leverage. And last but not least is actions, which is execution mastery. None of the other stuff matters, people, unless we have execution, where the rubber meets the road. We got to day in and day out. Do we take the actions that we said we would take? Are we executing on these things that will deliver the results that we're looking to get inside of our business and inside of our lives? All right, so we're driving this forward in 2023. We're halfway through the year, basically. Okay, and at the halfway point, you really want to check in to see where it is that you are. Okay, this is a real pivotal point inside of business for you and me, to where we reflect on seeing how we did versus last year versus prior years. What is the trajectory of your business? And then look at the risks and the implications of risk associated with your business as well. Are you set up to be here for the long haul? Is what I want to say. That's the question you want to ask yourself. And what does that really look like for you? Like, profitability wise, yeah, we want to make sure that we're making profit. We also want to make sure that we're keeping a lot of that money in terms of cash flow. Are you growing asset bases inside of what you're doing as a consequence of your business activity? These are the things you want to really look at. And sometimes it may be challenging to understand what the numbers tell you. I honestly take it for granted that I can read numbers at the degree that I read them. I don't even think that I'm like the best at doing this stuff, honestly, like reading numbers. But I do have a real quick grasp of what the numbers are saying, to the point where I can say, okay, we're winning here, and we need to win over here. We're not really winning this game in this area. This is what the numbers say. All right. And then I'm also good at looking at, how the setup is. Like if we're playing a game or a sport or whatever, it's all in the setup, and whether it's basketball where, you have teammates and you're passing the ball off, it's in how you set that pass up. It's in how you set your shot up. It's everything goes into the setup. Setup is how we fall within the rules. The technical applications of things. All right. This is all in the setup. So we want to take a hard look at where we are all the way around, like holistically inside of business, inside of your life. Are we winning the games that we said we're going to win at this year? All right. Now, some of you may not even be in that conversation of the games that you're winning. You just might be reacting. Like when I say reacting, it's just like I'm just going day by day and really looking to make it through that day. And there really is no specific game that you're playing that says, okay, this is what I'm winning at this year. For example, you can have a game where you're saying, okay, we got 10-figure business mastery. Well, this year we're going to create 8 figures. All right, we're going to get to this 8 figures if I'm not there yet. If you're already there, well, we're going to create this, get close to 9 figures this year. That's our game that we play. What does that actually look like for me? All right, these are the games that we can play to move life forward, move business forward. We want to understand when we're winning versus when we're not. And if you're not having these games played, if you're not choosing a specific game, well, you're behind the ball. All right, you want to make sure you're choosing these games to play. You may call it goals, you may call it objectives or milestones that you want to meet, but you want to play a game. All right, specifically, that's going to light you up. It's going to move life and business forward for you. All right, so today we're not going to spend a whole lot of time here. Okay, what I really do want to go over are some of the things. And let me just do this real quick, guys. I'm going to come off this PowerPoint for you real quick, and I'm going to be with you right here. Okay. All right. So, yeah. A lot of you business owners ride dirty. A lot of you business owners ride dirty is what I want to say. And what do I mean by riding dirty? You don't have real good structures and controls in place when you're running your business, and it causes you to be at risk. All right. That's not okay. All right. With the games that you play, the things that you're up to in life, you really want to have a real good, clean structure for everything that's moving in your business, to where you're above reproach, which means that you're not really putting your business at risk for compliance. And you have systems in place to hold everybody involved with your company account. All right. Including yourself. All right. This is what we call integrity. All right. We want to have integrity inside of the things that we do in business. And a lot of us, when we operate, we're not operating inside of integrity. I was having a conversation with I'm getting married, guys. I'm going to call her my wife. She's a business owner too, man. I was having a conversation with my wife yesterday about this, because we have clients that we work with. And in the beginning, a lot of the clients we work with, it's like they just like rapid fire, wild, wild west inside of their business. They don't have any rhyme or reason to how they're letting their money flow in and out of their business, for one, and then how they conduct business, number two. Like, as far as, is it a distinct difference between that business and you? A lot of times that's clearly established, and because of that, you're at a high level of risk. Your business can get taken away just like that. Anything happens out there, it's not just your business that goes, it's you too. Your whole life can be destroyed because you don't take it seriously enough to have these structures and controls in place, right? It is that serious. This is what I want you to know. Like, some people don't think it's that serious. Oh, I won't get caught doing these things, or I'll get by. It's not a big deal. It is. It's out of integrity. We want to bring things inside of integrity, or you will not win at the games that you play. Bottom line. So if there's any resistance to what we call compliance, you want to stop right now. Because this is why my company is called By the Books. Right? We could do everything by the book, because we want sustainability. We want this thing to last the long term, the long haul. We want to have freedom, wealth, and legacy, man. We want to make sure that this thing lasts from generation to generation. We want our businesses to be vehicles for us to really catapult our wealth creation forward. That is one of the main reasons and the main benefits of being inside of the entrepreneurship space. Is now there's no limit to the amount of wealth that you can create. You have these different tools and these different boxes that you can use to really catapult wealth forward in your life. And if you're not using it to that degree, you're really missing out. You're wasting your time. You might as well wrap it up and just quit, because you're just not it. All right. But you want to make sure that you have these systems in place always, and you honor them, and you have integrity inside of how you operate your business. So number one, you want to have a business that's separate from you. I don't care if you're a sole proprietor, a partnership, LLC, corporation, whatever. You want to have it separate from you. What does that really look like? Well, you have separate business accounts. And you use it for business purposes and only business purposes. Some of you listening in on this conversation, you're like, yeah, that's obvious, and that's great. That's fantastic. And how are you paying yourself? Are you using your business as an ATM for yourself? I'm specifically speaking to these small business owners that really are just coming up because you think it's okay to we call commingle business activity with the personal activity. And it's not. You want to establish a structure to be able to have the business pay for the business stuff, and for you individually to have a way for you to pay for your individual stuff. Okay, so what does that really look like? I'm going to show you something real quick here, and we're going to come back to this. All right, because this is kind of typical of what I see. All right, let's go here to this screen share, guys. All right. Now, what you're looking at here is, typically when somebody comes on as a new business owner with us, they want us to handle their bookkeeping. Okay, so we start looking at all their transactions. And inside of the transactions, we notice patterns of things. And it would be a disservice for me not to speak up about certain patterns of behavior that can put businesses at risk. So this is typical, right? You see inside of here, we're going to see a lot of random transactions that have really no clarity. So we have this Capital One, Afterpay, then all these Zelle transactions. And if we were to look down the line through more of these transactions, you'll start seeing Cash App. We see ATM withdrawals, and none of it has clarity. None of it is really clear, right? And if we dig into it, there's always a way to find out how clear what these transactions are. The numbers never lie. We can actually pull the thread and see exactly what this was, right? But the impacts of this can be catastrophic. Now, what if all of these expenses were business expenses, right? And now you have all these deductions that you could take for your business, which causes your tax liability to be less than what it is. You won't be able to capture these. They'll get thrown out in an audit. And you will end up paying taxes on all this money that you spent for your business. That is an impact. This could be thousands of dollars in tax money when it accumulates, because you're at usually people are at that 22% ordinary income tax bracket when they're filing, and that either 12 or 22%. Right, you got to factor that in, and then there's another 15.3% on top of that as a single member LLC or a sole proprietorship or a partnership, or self-employment taxes, what you deal with. All right. So imagine all this money calculated up, and you're paying around 30 to 30, between 30 and 40% of that money you got to pay in taxes. But you've already spent this on things that are legitimate. Most likely, you probably have business expenses. Right. This is one impact. You're going to have more taxes, right, on money that you spent for the business, but you can't prove it. So thereby it gets thrown out. Okay. Because there's no rhyme, no reason to this. There's several different layers to how this money was flowing. And when I say several different layers, it's not direct. Okay. It's not saying, okay, this was paid at Staples, or this was paid at Office Max, or this was paid at ABC Fuel Stop, or this was paid at this particular vendor, contractor, my subcontractor, which is a 1099 guy or a woman. Right? If you look at this pattern here inside of what I'm sharing, you're not seeing that directly. Right? There's no real clarity. Now, at the end of the day, when we get through this, it'll be clear for the guy because we do the digging, right, to make sure that all this is going to be clear and he's going to be good. But if you're operating like this without the assistance of somebody like me, then you're going to be SOL, right? Straight out of luck, right? Because you're going to end up in an audit, or if somebody even questions what you're doing, it's not going to hold water, right? You're going to end up paying more so, right? And it does work like that. The IRS is serious, man. They just hired a troop of new agents, and they coming, man. I had like one client had two IRS agents show up at his office, right? Just showing up, just like that. Hey, we just need to see everything, right? So you never know when this might come by you, right? This is why I want to have this conversation and emphasize the critical nature of minding your business. Mind your own business, okay? To the degree in which you are above reproach, you're doing it by the books, you're compliant, and you have confidence that you can grow it in a way where you're going to create everything that you want to create. This does not necessarily get in the way. It doesn't get in the way at all. As a matter of fact, it is a system that you want to have in place so that you are always going to be good to go when it comes to your business matters, your financial matters, and your life matters. Okay, it is important, is what I want to say. Okay, so if you are somebody who's going through life, just kind of spending money how you need to spend it in order to make business work. I get it. You really just want to make things work. At the same time, you're destroying your life. You are. You're putting everything at risk. And if you have a family, look at your family, look at your kids. Every time you take the money from your business account and buy a Snickers bar for your kid, you just put his whole life at risk. Because now your business is liable, and your personal finances are liable. Okay. So what am I talking about in this conversation, really? I'm talking about setting yourself up for long-term sustainability and a long-term win. All right. Start thinking down the line. Start thinking about doing things in a way where you're above reproach. You're just compliant. Right. If somebody came in and took a look at your stuff, hey, look, he's like, hey, go ahead, take a look. Ain't gonna find nothing out of line here, buddy. Right? Everything is just working the way it wants to work. And it does start here with managing your inflows and outflows. We call this a control process. Right? We have financial controls. All right. So if you don't have a CFO for your company and you're everything for your company. And again, I'm speaking directly to you. Like, you're the small business owner. You're really getting things started. You've been in business maybe for a few years, but you're like a small operation. You just have yourself or maybe a couple of people, maybe 10 at the most, running with your company. Right. We want to have all of these things in place to say, okay, this is okay when this is okay for us to spend money here. This is how we're going to know when it's okay. Like, it goes through this protocol before we spend money. It's going to go all through these accounts. Right? All expenses come out of this one account, operating cost wise. All payroll comes out of this account for payroll purposes. And anything that anybody in the company wants to spend for business purposes, there needs to be somebody who lays eyes on this transaction to approve it. Okay, so that we know that this is a good transaction to go through. Now, it doesn't have to be every single transaction that goes like that. But when you make a decision on what you're going to spend money on, it wants to be clear. Like, if you decide, okay, Home Depot is going to be our vendor. All right, so how are we going to approach Home Depot? We're going to make sure that we're going to use this debit card or this account. Like maybe we get a net 30 account with them. We're going to use that in order to do all our purchases with Home Depot. Or we're going to use this business account with this debit card or this other debit card. It's always going to go through this account. So these are the two cards that are authorized. And then when we bring on somebody else, we can authorize maybe another card, but we're going to have that meeting. We're going to talk about it and get clarity on it and put it in writing. Okay. Now, when all these transactions start coming from Home Depot, we see, okay, if all follow this protocol. Like, and it also wants to have the receipts. Like, how are you handling the receipts every time anybody in our company goes to Home Depot that we've approved as our vendor through these cards? They make sure they send a receipt emailed to receipts@yourcompany.com. Right, and that way you'll have a record of all the receipts when people purchase it. Otherwise, you're going to be leaving yourself at risk. Now, when you run your ship tight like that, man, you are going places with your business, okay? Because it does start with that foundational block when it comes to the money flow. Like, if you think about everything in life, it starts with a single unit. Your body is made up of cells. One cell gets with another cell, and it creates organs. And all of a sudden, you have an entire body. And if that cell begins as healthy, then you have a healthy body. All right, healthy organs and a healthy body. In business finances, that cell is one transaction. Right? It comes down to the transaction level. So all of our money flow transactionally comes down to one single building block of a transaction. We want to make sure that that transaction is healthy in our business, because that leads to the overall financial health of our business. Okay, so we want to have these protocols. The things I just mentioned are very simple to put in place. Okay, we're going to use this vendor, and this is how we're going to use this vendor, and this is how we're going to spend money through this vendor, and this is how we're going to track and record it to make sure we have all the receipts so that we're above reproach. This is what we want. Otherwise, you're going to have situations like what we're looking at on this screen share, where money's just going everywhere. Cash App, Zelle, ATM withdrawals, cash coming out, spending money more so on bank charges and ATM fees than we want to. So we're just bleeding money. We don't even know where money's going. And then at the end of the day, it's like, man, why is my business working for me? Why don't I have more at the end of the day? Why? Because you're not in integrity with the financial flow of your business. And you want to have that financial integrity to make sure that your business is growing in a way where you're getting the most out of it and you feel good about, the development and growth of it. It's actually doing what you said it would do. And it's actually doing the things that you wanted to do for your life. And if you don't have this level of integrity inside of what you're doing financially, then you will not have that result. Right? You will be suffering at some level or another. All right. And if you're hearing me right now, if you're in this call, if you're listening to this recording, if you're live, and you've experienced that suffering as far as finances are concerned, this is why you don't have integrity. You don't. All right. You want to bring the good thing about it is that you can bring it inside of integrity right now. All right. You can start focusing on the systems that you want to put in place so that you have that level of integrity inside of your operating. Okay. Because it does take that to build a business to the levels that we talk about here. All right. It takes the integrity on this level. There are no small things inside of business. There are only things that work and things that do not. And right now, this thing that you're looking at right here, it does not work. This is why this person particularly, this business owner particularly, is experiencing a lot of pain. Right. We're going to get rid of that pain, but he's experiencing a lot of pain because there is no rhyme or reason. There is no integrity. All right. But the idea, if he so chooses, now this is not up to me. He has to choose. Each and every one of us has to choose integrity. I can say it all day, but at the end of that day, if he decides to say, I'm going to keep doing it the way I'm doing it, well, then he's going to continue to suffer perpetually. And the thing is, what you and I get to do is end that suffering at any given moment and say, this is how it's going to go. All right. With that being said, we're going to leave it here. And what I really want to leave you with is the integrity of the transaction. One transaction is a cell, it's a block, it's a building block for your entire business. Are you looking at it that way? Are you taking it that seriously? One transaction. Every time you go into business and you're thinking about like what you're spending money on, do you feel it? do you feel the gravity of the one transaction? If you're just going out and spending it like however you want, whenever you want, you're not really feeling that integrity. You're not understanding how much it counts. How much it counts to count what you're about to spend this money on, right? Now, I will say this too. It's a lot easier to keep more of your money than it is to make more money. And it does go a certain way when you're able to keep more and put it into certain other things. It's magical what can happen with the wealth creation. It compounds, right? So if I can focus on keeping more of my hard-earned money instead of just having no integrity inside of what I do, well, man, things actually exponentially go better for me, right? There's a quantum leap forward available in that, okay? All right, guys, we are ending this call right now, and I'm hoping that I'm leaving you with something to think about. I'm hoping I'm leaving you with actions to take inside of your business finances on a whole new level. Like if you're somebody who's been doing this in your business, well, he's kind of having transactions come out of whatever account and going to whatever account, it's kind of pulling money from here and there and just doing it chaotically. Well, you want to stop that right now. The opportunity is to stop that right now, take on really holy integrity inside of your finances and your business, right? When you do that now, especially with the economy being what it is today, and you're kind of concerned about how things are going, then you'll have a level of mastery that can smooth out the anxiousness around what it is in the economy. You have more mastery, you have more control over what it is that you do. And because of that, you'll have a sustainable business model. Right? Your business will stand the test of time, and no matter what economy, it doesn't matter because you already understand that there is integrity in the single transaction. And I will make sure that I hold myself to account. I will hold my company to account inside of the integrity that we have here. All right. All right, guys. I'll leave you with that. See you next Wednesday. Take care.